Dear all, a warm welcome from the European Movement's office here in Brussels. We're delighted to have you with us for this joint event organized by the European Movement Turkey and the European Movement International. Today's event is supposed to discuss the EU Green Deal and how it affects the neighborhood of the European Union, especially our close partner, Turkey. Before we start, I'd like to say a few words about the European Movement International, which is a network of organizations that has been operating since 1948 to promote European integration across Europe. And we have been doing this in a variety of ways and in many locations, not least in Turkey. And we're delighted for that reason to be hosting this event jointly with one of our members, the European Movement Turkey. I wish you all a very good event. I'll pass now the floor to Seyfan, who is the chair of the European Movement Turkey and who will be your moderator for today. Enjoy the discussion. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Seyfan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Petros. Mr. Deputy Minister, Mrs. Deputy Director General, dear panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would like to welcome you all on behalf of European Movement Turkey and Turabder. My name is Zeynep Han Gemicioğlu. I am the board chair of European Movement Turkey and Turabder. European Movement Turkey, Turabder, is a non-governmental organization dedicated to promoting EU-Turkey relations. Our aim is to inform Turkey's public opinion about European integration and EU-Turkey relations. In doing so, we have enjoyed since our establishment in 1987 a fruitful dialogue with the Turkish and European authorities. For the past couple of years, our activities have focused primarily on raising public awareness about the challenge of EU-Turkey accession process, as well as 2016 EU-Turkey migration statement. In course of 2021, a new topic of major importance for EU-Turkey relations has been brought to our agenda, the European Green Deal. It's a burning topic, not only for European agenda, but also in Turkish agenda. We will discuss today the Green Deal. I'm sure we will listen lots of valuable remarks. Let me introduce you our distinguished guests today. Ambassador Mr. Faruk Kaymakcı, Deputy Minister of Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Director for EU Affairs. Mrs. Clara de la Torre, Deputy Director General for Climate Action of European Commission. Mr. Bülent Özcan, Director General for Financial Cooperation and Project Implementation, Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Directorate for EU Affairs. Mr. Antoine Auger, Head of Global and SDGs Program, Institute for European Environmental Policy. Welcome once again. Thank you for your valuable time. Now I would like to give the floor to the Deputy Minister, Mr. Kaymakcı, for his opening speech. Mr. Kaymakcı, I would like to give the floor to you with a general question, if you let me. Which opportunities and challenges is the European deal giving to Turkey, an EU candidate with a customs union agreement in place? Mr. Deputy Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Zeynep Hanım. I hope you hear me well. Yes? Okay.
Very good.
Dear Deputy Director General, dear Director General Özcan, also I would like to say hello to Mr. Auger, and as well as the Secretary General of the European Movement International, Petros. Actually, Petros mentioned Turkey as a partner, but I would like to underline the fact that Turkey is a candidate country, and also we would like to hear more, more of support from the European Movement International in terms of Turkey's accession process. So let's hope that we can get more support from our European Movement friends in other capitals of Europe. But of course, today we will discuss the Green Deal and its impact on Turkey-EU relations. As Zeynep Hanım mentioned, of course, Turkey is a candidate country, and Turkey is also part of a customs union. And of course, in terms of the climate action, we follow that the EU is a leading bloc in the world, and actually we congratulate the EU on its efforts to reach emission zero continent by 2020, and Turkey also is trying to realize this aim, and our aim is to reach the same goal by 2053. Of course, when we analyze the EU Green Deal, we realize that this is not only about environment, but it is more than environment. It means transport, it means production, it means agriculture, it means sustainable and circular economy. So Turkey actually follows the same line. Recently, we have adopted an action plan on the EU Green Deal, and so this action plan comprises actually 9 main headings, and it has also important elements, 32 objectives, 81 actions, from agriculture to transport, from industry to education, and from diplomacy to green financing. And again, Turkey, in order to follow the same pattern of the West, we have also, recently approved Turkey's participation in the Paris Agreement. And this is important commitment, despite the fact that Turkey is a developing country in terms of annex within the framework of the UN Convention in terms of climate action. So this is not an easy process. Of course, green transition requires, it has 3 dimensions. The first dimension is, cuts in emissions. Yes, the countries have to focus on the emission cuts, and especially when you are a developing country, it is not that easy. Plus, Turkey's responsibility is limited in terms of pollution. Of course, Turkey is growing fast, and of course, our emissions level are increasing. But we will make sure that we will, make some serious commitments in terms of, Turkey's nationally declared contributions to the climate action plan. The second dimension is, of course, financing, because when we look at the EU has adopted a huge next generation EU plan, which is talking about 780 billion euros for the next 7 years, maybe. So this funding is really facilitating the work of the EU member states, but the candidate countries, they should also enjoy some cooperation and facility from the EU. It is true that we are enjoying some IPA funds, instrument for pre-accession, but when we look at the division of funds in the IPA, we are not getting more than 15 up to 17% in terms of climate action in the IPA funding. So we need more. Plus, while we were expecting more, funding for climate action, Turkey's IPA funding has been reduced, and this is not the right step. And I think, in terms of Green Deal, we would appreciate that IPA funds, should be raised, and we should allocate more funding to climate action. Now we are looking forward to Turkey investment platform, which will be hopefully ready by the end of next month. And I heard that yesterday European Investment Bank and the EU signed an agreement to give a level of guarantee to those investors who would invest in green and digital projects in candidate countries, including Turkey. And we hope that this will come into practice as quickly as possible. But of course, the Green Deal cooperation is not only about financing, it is also about working together, because EU is working on a carbon border adjustment mechanism, which will have direct implications on Turkey-EU trade, because Turkey is a customs union member with the EU. There, of course, especially in 5 major areas such as steel, such as electricity, fertilizer, aluminium. We will have CBAM coming soon, and I think Turkey and the EU, they have to work together to develop a system which will not disrupt Turkey-EU customs union deal. And also emission trading system, is there, and Turkey is also working on its own emission trading system mechanism. There again, we need to cooperate with the EU to have the same practices and same policies. Of course, we have Turkey-EU high-level climate dialogue, and we have had so far 2 meetings. The last one was in Turkey with the Vice President of the European Commission, Mr. Timmermans, and our climate minister, Kurum. And I also attended this meeting. It was a very fruitful meeting. And we also talked about, for example, hydrogen. And this is an important element of the, future energy, let's say, projects. But talking about energy, let me underline that the Green Action Plan is very much linked to our, energy policies. And it is sad that Turkey-EU high-level dialogue on energy cannot take place, still. I mean, we have been waiting for more than 4 years now, and there is no dialogue between Turkey and the EU in terms of energy. Okay, if the word energy disturbs, some of us, we can call it energy transition. But on the climate action, energy talks between Turkey and the EU are vital, and we hope that Turkey-EU high-level dialogue on energy or energy transition should start, immediately, especially when we see the negative impact of the Russian war against Ukraine. With regard to energy security in Europe, I think we don't need to waste more time for this. So, of course, these are the main concerns that we are working on now. And I think Turkey-EU cooperation is important. And also in the field of green financing, as we have, put it in the Turkey's action plan to implement the EU Green Deal, there is also there is some regulatory work by the Ministry of Finance, by the central bank. So we will have, green financing, green credit systems, and also green incentive, credit systems will be put into practice in Turkey. So also from now on, our financial system will be based on green and digital actions. So these are all affecting, our relations, and we hope that, our cooperation with the EU can be strengthened because this action is a common action, and no country can deal alone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaymakcı, Mr. Deputy Minister. Thank you very much. I would like to continue with the questions that I have prepared for this occasion. I have many questions. I also received questions from the audience. The interest for this topic is big. My question will be to all the panelists. Mrs. de la Torre, with your permission, I would like to start with you. Which opportunities and challenges European Green Deal giving to Turkey as an EU candidate with a customs union agreement in place?
Good afternoon. I'm very sorry. The sound was interrupted. Could you please repeat, please?
Sure, I can repeat my question. Which opportunities and challenge is the European Green Deal giving to Turkey as an EU candidate with a custom union agreement in place?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, moderator, Deputy Minister, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy and thank you for the international movement to invite us for this webinar. Listen, the Green Deal is an opportunity in itself to transform our economy, to make it fit for the future, because it has arrived just before two terrible events that were not foreseen and which make the Green Deal even more an opportunity. We had the COVID pandemic and we have the aggression of Russia to Ukraine. And this shows only that we need to undergo this transformation even more quickly. We have science which is telling us that we have to act quickly before things get out of our hands. So, and this is a challenge for both for the Union and for Turkey. I'm sure you have all looked at the International Energy Agency report recently in the report Net Zero by 2050 in the energy sector. And I quote them. They were saying the net zero pathway relies on unprecedented international cooperation among governments, especially on innovation and investment. So it's in the EU's interest to count on Turkey as a reliable partner for this transition towards climate neutrality. It's our interest to make sure that the green transformation brings our economies closer rather than setting them apart. So it is key to keep the proper functioning of the EU-Turkey customs union, for example. And from a strategic perspective, the Green Deal makes us, both Turkey and the Union, more autonomous, in particular from the energy standpoint. And this reaching of more autonomy will also reshuffle, improve our position in the world. From a new perspective, it makes us look with renewed interest at our partners in the Mediterranean basin that are investing, like Turkey, in green energy. And Turkey being one of the countries where the growth of renewables is the strongest, we have an obvious interest in looking at that together and how this can play for our respective energy systems to be more resilient and sustainable. So for the Union, the Green Deal is a genuine opportunity to enhance cooperation and integration with our immediate neighborhood, where Turkey is one of them, for a mutually beneficial outcome, because it triggers a general race to the top of the whole region. And I'm really glad to see that Turkey has approached it in a positive way and is ready to step up. From an economic and trade perspective, also the Green Deal is is an opportunity to upgrade as well our value chains to new and greener standards. And this is opportunity for Turkey as much as it is for the Union. So those who are able to trade greener will clearly have a competitive edge internationally in the coming decades and will set precisely the pace for trade and for standards. So there is everything to gain for both parties to undergo the transformation that is preached by the Green Deal.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bülent Özcan, we would like to have your opinion on the question.
Well, of course, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank you, European Movement International, and also I would like to thank you to European Movement Turkey, European Union Association, TRABDE. Of course, when we are looking at the question, as you said, as a candidate country, and also a country which have a custom union in place, what about opportunities and challenges of EU Green Deal giving to Turkey? Firstly, of course, the first the perspective that we have to look is the economy side. When we are looking at the Turkey-EU relations and also the economic connection that the two parties each other, we could say that, you know, we have a trade volume of more than 60% imports and exports when we have in total. And this means that, you know, as an integrated, as an economic perspective, both sides are integrated each other so much. So we could say that, you know, any kind of issue under the Green Deal, any kind of changes, transformation that we have faced are very related to each other. So this is the first point that I could say from the perspective of EU-Turkey relations. But from my perspective, morally, of course, because I'm a DG for financial cooperation, which means that, you know, EU funding opportunities, Turkey, as Directorate for EU Affairs, we are responsible for the coordinating of EU funding. This is very, very, very important from our point of view, because when we have looked at the new period after Green Deal on the financial cooperation, the issues related to Green Deal is on the center of our all strategies. So when we are looking at the instrument for pre-accession, as we called IPA, as Deputy Minister mentioned, you know, Green Deal starting from environment to the climate change, to agriculture, to competitiveness, from any perspective, it is on the center of our, let me say, objective. So any project related could be funded by IPA is mainly based on, let me say, on these objectives and this perspective. The other way that we are also, you know, making coordination that we are responsible is the union programs, which is Turkey is a part, some of them, like the Horizon Europe for competitiveness, research, innovation, or Erasmus on education, youth, and sport. Again, you know, when we are looking at the opportunities that for Turkey, again, Green Deal is a central point in all these projects. So when we have a look at in our new period, this is a number one issue that we have to be, let me say, concentrate on, that we have to be careful about while we are making our cooperation with our EU partners, or any kind of action that we have follow within the, let me say, EU accession period. So this is highly important from our perspective. The issues related with the Green Deal is highly important, and it will affect 100%, maybe more, in all our efforts in this process, I could say.
Thank you very much. We would be pleased to hear your opinion about the question, Mr. Roger.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me today. Thank you very much for the European Movement International for inviting us in these challenging times. Yes. Mr. Torre mentioned that we're facing two major crises at the moment, with the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still very real, of course, and the war in Ukraine. And this is happening on top of the climate crisis, obviously, with the latest report from the IPCC demonstrating once more that we have very limited time to put in place meaningful, sustainable policies. And the EU-Turkey cooperation in that regard is, of course, extremely crucial in the context of the accession and the custom union. So we know that I believe that everyone welcomes the ratification of the Paris Agreement by Turkey in October last year. That paves the way for ramping up of our common adaptation efforts and the implementation of our green energy and industrial policies to reduce our emissions. I believe the Ambassador Kaymakcı mentioned that Turkey now adopted a national plan with 9 main headings. So these are all quite encouraging news. And now would be the time for implementation for all of us. And I'm convinced that cooperation with the EU would be absolutely crucial. And today, I'm sure also that we can get into the details of some specific initiatives that could be interested in that very much in that objective. And I can think of a few. We mentioned the trade relations, of course, again in the context of the custom union, that greatly facilitate our relationship. We know that the EU Green Deal caters for a significant overhaul of the EU trade policy in particular, and that could have major implications for trade relations with Turkey. We record that the EU is the main trade partner for Turkey, so obviously very, very relevant matter. We could discuss about other specific options, of course, with the rollout of the EU Circular Economy Action Plan that could also have major implications for relation. So I will stop there for now, but I'm sure we can get into these details later on in the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My question will be again to Mrs. de la Torre. Mr. Kaymakcı, we would be delighted if you would like to give also a little perspective to this question. How can the European Green Deal improve and deepen diplomatic ties between EU and Turkey? Mrs. de la Torre, if you let me, we can start with you.
Yeah, indeed. As Deputy Minister has mentioned, we have started what I think is a fruitful process of high-level dialogue with Turkey on climate, because these are issues, as Minister Kurum and the Executive Vice President Timmermans said, we have to identify issues that brings us together, and this is bringing us together. So this is very important. We have a very important starting point, and indeed it creates further opportunities for cooperation. We have to ensure that ourselves, when we're setting up and designing all the initiatives that are behind that and underpinning the Green Deal, we are eager to ensure continuous consultation with all our neighbors to make sure that we all understand the same thing when we talk about it, and that we have and that we all see the positive modernization effect of our Green Deal policies. And as I say, the high-level dialogue in climate is a case in point. And climate, and in this case, climate diplomacy, can contribute to improving our bilateral relations and creating new fields for cooperation. For example, carbon pricing, establishing an ETS, emission trading system in Turkey that would be compatible with the one of the Union, will be a very important step in the right direction, not only because it's important to have a system of carbon pricing to address climate change, but also tightening some ties with the Union, and this is work on that one is giving already the signs of coming together. Beyond this, we have also work in this diplomacy is helping us in understanding better the adaptation issues that we have. Turkey, being in the Mediterranean, has very specific challenges in climate adaptation, and all coastal states of the Mediterranean can help in developing climate resilience. So there are, in terms of we have subjects that will bring us closer. But it's important that in these discussions and in this climate diplomacy, there are a number of principles like international law, like good neighborhood relations, like peaceful settlement of disputes are being respected. This is very important, and bringing together the climate diplomacy with actually undergoing, because I would like to insist on the fact that we are very happy about Turkey having signed the Paris Agreement, which is the starting of a new adventure. It's not an end in itself, and we know is, as Mr. Roger was saying, is the implementation of that agreement. So the diplomacy is all part of this bringing the countries together, which at the end of the day is our objective.
Mr. Kaymakcı, would you give us a little perspective on this question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Zeynep Hanım, I was supposed to make only an opening speech.
Yes, but since you are here, we would like to hear your voice.
Also, I would like to, I would like to give my answer to your question. Actually, the Green Deal or the climate action, I would say, has revitalized again Turkey-EU relations. Unfortunately, we need always a crisis or a problem to improve Turkey-EU relations. In 2015, it was the migration crisis. Now it seems that the green challenge is bringing Turkey and the EU closer. And of course, when we talk about climate action, it is not only limited to environment, but also it is about transport, it's about agriculture, it is about the industry, it's about trade. So it is quite comprehensive. And this is why I wanted to underline again the necessity to have the other, Turkey-EU high-level dialogue meetings. There, Ms. de la Torre mentioned the international law, good neighborly relations, and what else? She mentioned one other thing that we are on the same page. We are talking about international law. We are talking about good neighborly relations, but it is not right to block Turkey-EU dialogue on, for example, energy, on transport, on economy. After 4 years, we have not had, any meeting. It is not really realistic to realize, implement the Green Deal when we are not cooperating in terms of transport, in terms of energy, in terms of economy. This is not the right approach. Yes, good neighborly relations, but any neighbor of Turkey, which might be a member of the EU, should not abuse its, veto right against candidate country. And this is not helpful. It is not helpful to the bilateral relations. It is not helpful to good neighborly relations. And also it is at the cost of our general interest in Europe. What is the gain when we do not have better cooperation in terms of climate, transport, energy, economy between Turkey and the EU? Who is going to benefit, of this? This is not realistic. This is why I hope that in the next few months, we would be able to revitalize other high-level dialogue meetings, which are also related to climate action. Happily, we will be having Turkey-EU high-level dialogue meeting tomorrow with the presence of the EU Commissioner for Agriculture in Ankara. And I think this would be a great contribution to European, policies, in terms of going for sustainable agriculture, for a digital agriculture, and for a climate, friendly agriculture, both in Turkey and in the rest of Europe. So this is a win-win situation, and I hope that we can expand our dialogue at the highest level with the EU in all areas. So this will be my comment, and if you allow, I have to run for another meeting. I would like to again thank the European Movement International and European Movement Turkey for organizing this useful meeting, which is quite useful, I think, both to Turkish and other European audience. And also, I would like to again enjoy this opportunity to wish you a happy Europe Day.
Mr. Kaymakcı, thank you very much for your valuable time, for your valuable remarks. Thank you very much for joining us. Now I would like to continue with Mr. Oje and Mr. Özcan. My question will be to them. How are the NGOs and civil society organizations contributing to the profound transformation that the European Green Deal entails? We can start with Mr. Auger.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, very good. So, indeed, we're talking.
I think Mr. Auger has a problem of connecting. Can you hear us right now?
I can hear you well, yes. Can you hear me?
Perfect, perfect. Let's continue.
Okay. Okay, good. Sorry. My apologies for this. So, as I was saying, we should be well placed to discuss this matter as a member of the civil society ourselves at IEP, and discuss the importance and yet challenges that this particular position can entail to try and participate to the debate that is essentially a political debate, and to follow up on the policy development, on the policy implementation that any governance body can have. We strongly believe that the presence of a vibrant civil society is crucial to produce evidence-based research, policy insights, policy recommendations for the enactment and the implementation of adequate policies in all matters, and in particular, in this case, on environmental matters. This is what IEP tries to do at the European level, but again, as I said, this could be true for any particular governance bodies. Obviously, so the civil society should be part of the political process, is what I'm trying to say. Of course, there are some challenges that remain in that particular statement. So, for instance, we have a few challenges that we know very well. For instance, sometimes some weak vertical communication channels. There's a lack of interactions between governments and civil society organizations, including in the EU, for instance. Although the EU remains among the most open government body in the world when it comes to civil society involvement, of course. But for instance, when talking about trade agreement negotiations, there's been a long-standing debate as to whether civil society organizations were sufficiently involved in that particular process. So sometimes some weak vertical communication channels can be an issue. And of course, another main one could be the lack of resources for civil society organization to conduct the necessary research input that I was mentioning, and thereby participating meaningfully to a dialogue with the government. It goes both ways, and eventually that would limit the influence that civil society organization can have in the simply don't have the capacity to meaningfully participate in the debates. So it is yes, crucial importance for a good civil society participation, and some challenges to be overcome at all levels.
Thank you very much. Mr. Özcan, we would like to hear your opinion on the civil society contribution regarding the Green Deal.
Well, of course, I mean, this is also one of the issue which is very, very important concerning the Green Deal process, because when we are talking about Green Deal, it's a kind of a reflection of a change, a transformation, a structural change, on the policies, but not only covering the policies, but also implementation in different fields. But of course, I mean, all these policy issues also related with, decision makers on the one side, a lot of discussion on the political side, the role of the public institutions. Yes, these are very, very important. But what about the participation of the people? I mean, the citizens to the Green Deal process. How the citizens should be strongly connected to the decision-making process. How the Green Deal could be better understand the goals, the packages, the reforms, the policy initiatives could be reflected to the representatives of the sectors or the ordinary citizens. I mean, this is also that all the parties should be, take care of in this process. This is very, very important. And from the very beginning, we can see that, there are a lot of measures are taken by the European Union institutions to involve the civil societies or the civil society institutions in the process of the decision making of the Green Deal. But what is important is it should be more, because this role of the civil societies at this process is very important, because civil society is a kind of a role bringing together the public institutions, decision makers with the citizens together, and to understand each other more. Civil society has a role of exchange of knowledge and experience, because it make easier to understand these kinds of technical issues by the citizens. So it's a kind of an facilitator role, a knowledge provider role in the Green Deal. This is very important. And also the civil society has a role to establish a sustained conversation between the decision makers and of course the society, who will directly affect all these decisions taken by the politicians or the public institutions or the decision makers for the Green Deal, I could say. So we could say the role of civil society is very, very important, and there should be opportunities or instruments should be developed for public consultation with the civil society institutions, involvement of the civil society institutions in this decision-making process or implementation process, and it should be more in the next coming process. There are now already settled, let me say, programs and already settled opportunities, but next time in my round, maybe I could give more information about the financing of this, of these instruments and opportunities.
Thank you for this valuable feedback, Bülent Bey. I am very happy to hear this as a person from civil society. I would like to have the opinion of Mrs. de la Torre also on this question.
Thank you very much. Indeed, for the European Union, also the contribution of civil society is not only very important, but is compulsory. As you know, our so-called better regulation rules tell us that even before starting to draft a new initiatives, a new policy, new legislation, we have to consult stakeholders, including civil society. So that we do before we prepare our legislation, and I can assure you, we do it, and we absorb what we receive. Of course, we cannot always follow fully their advice, because there are sometimes trade-offs to be made, but it is there. Also during the legislative process, when the council, the governments, let's say, of the member states and the parliament discuss, the stakeholders, including civil society, do have plenty of opportunities to exchange with them. And we have set up, in the context of the Green Deal, what we call the Climate Pact, which makes possible to any citizen to the Climate Pact is there to do a number of things, to increase awareness, to share experiences, to motivate action in climate beyond what we are obliged by law to do, of course. But it's also a way in which the citizens, even at individual level, can come to the Commission and share, ask, propose. We have in particular a very space devoted to young people. And you know that this whole process of involving the civil society has been accomplished in a way, an important milestone yesterday, and I thank the Deputy Minister is not there for celebrating the Day of Europe in the Conference of Europe. And you saw yesterday there was the final event, picking up ideas and suggestions from many of our citizens. Of course, these consultations need to be done in compliance with the Aarhus Convention on a number of principles, with public participation and access to justice on environmental matters and things like this. And we commend the efforts made in in Turkey in the Climate Council in Konya in order to draft the decarbonization strategy, and I can only invite the authorities to policy making authorities to make more open, transparent, and fair citizen-driven consultations, because without as Mr. Rogier was, I think it was Mr. Rogier said, a vibrant civil society, we cannot bring things forward. We need to have, this is a deep transformation which requires a lot of effort, and then we need to bring them, bring the citizens in with us. So, and you know, there are a number of events that have happening in Turkey which have been a true disappointment, it's something which can bring things a little bit apart. But you know that the Executive Vice President Timmermans, when he went recently to Ankara, as mentioned before, he met the civil society, and I was present there, and we heard very pertinent and very well-informed opinions that are really an asset to Turkey. If you allow me, Mrs. Moderator, I would like to come to a point that the Deputy Minister has referred to, referring to the suspension of the dialogues in energy and in transport. And I would like to recall that this has been decided by the leaders, the member states, because of Turkey's unauthorized drilling activities in Eastern Mediterranean. So, and we understand that these decisions that provoked the suspension of the dialogues are still valid, and the picking up again these dialogues is in the hands of the EU leaders. So I would like to invite our Turkish friends to spare no efforts in the Eastern and continue the escalation in the Eastern Mediterranean and the constructive engagement. So let me underline the need to avoid unilateral actions in breach of international law. So this was the reason at the source of the suspension of the energy and transport dialogues. But here we are concentrating on the constructive dialogue on climate, as I think all participants in this panel have said when you're addressing, moderator, your very first question. Thank you very much.
We would like to continue with the climate change. Climate change is a common threat that spares nobody and needs joint action. In which areas should the EU and Turkey cooperate in the pursuit of achieving the goals of Paris Agreement? Mrs. De La Torre, can you also continue with the climate change?
Yes, thank you. I was saying, I think we've said a lot about it, because as we have been reminded, we have these science bases that shows us that we have to move the emissions of. We have to reduce the emissions of the whole world. So already the Turkey, the EU-Turkey high-level dialogue is paving the way and having intense discussion, namely for the time being on carbon pricing and adaptation to climate change. Adaptation meaning the effects that anyhow the warming of the temperature has already and is going to provoke. So we are glad that there are have been and there continues to be technical exchanges in constructive atmosphere with concrete deliverables, as I say, in particular on carbon pricing, which I understand is something that the Turkish authorities have well in mind to set up in Turkey. Given we have economies which are very much interlinked, and our value chains are very much interlinked. So the need to decarbonize the Turkish economy is as important as the need to decarbonize the European Union's economy, to precisely bring things together and not bring things apart. I referred a few minutes ago to the vulnerability of Turkey, and not only of Turkey, of the Union as well, in terms of climate change. And you know that we issued the adaptation strategy 1 year ago, and and we look forward to the update of the Turkish adaptation strategy. So we are thinking of more areas for cooperation, and this was the conclusion of the meeting in Ankara between Executive Vice President Timmermans and Minister Kurum. We would be happy to be working together in the Turkish climate law that I understand it's nearly to conclusion in drafting at least. Also subjects like energy efficiency, green energy, so important in the Mediterranean basin. Think of the green hydrogen partnership that we had mentioned in our communication, Repower EU, and I'm sure you know that soon we will have an action plan to materialize this Repower EU communication. And an important thing, another joint action, and something that brings both of us is important to us, is the just transition, not leaving anyone behind. And in particular, this is particularly important when we're dealing with coal phasing out, because this is an area where we have already quite a good deal of experience in the Union. As you know, most of our policies do have justice, a solidarity dimension in them, and of course this is one where we absolutely need. So it's important that Turkey sends concrete signals towards the end of coal, and doing that in a just and fair manner for all society.
Thank you very much. My question will be directed to Mr. Özcan right now. How are Turkey's private and public sectors aligning their strategies with the goals set out in the Green Deal, especially within a financial perspective? In other words, how does Turkey's Green Deal action plan align with the European Green Deal? I really apologize. We have a really short time left. So
I try to, as always, I try to keep as short as possible. Of course, also Deputy Minister mentioned the Turkish action plan for Green Deal. Yes, I mean, it is already finalized under the coordination of Minister of Trade in Turkey, with the participation of all public institutions, business sector associations or civil society institutions, and also professional organizations, supporting the preparation of the Green Deal action plan. It is in line with what is expected, or what is announced, or what is covered, let me say, by the European Union action plan, of course, but European Union Green Deal, not of course fully all parts of that, but in mainly covering different fields, considering the green finance, sustainable agriculture, smart mobility, combating with climate change, cross-border adjustment, circular economy, awareness raising, including actions for awareness raising and diplomacy. It has 9 main headings, 32 objectives covering all these fields, and 81 actions. So it is a kind of a very broad roadmap for us for adapting the European Green Deal for Turkish legislation. So this is very, very important. And one good thing is, this is while drafting all these issues, we are in consult with the civil society institutions and any kind of interest group covering the business environment, we could say. Yes, it is already agreed. It is already announced to the public, but it is a lively document. So if it is required some changes, it could be changed on the basis of the developments, of course, and also it's on the basis of the progress that we have achieved. So in order to implement this plan, these decisions in the plan, 17 working group is already established, and one of the working group is already all under the responsibility of the Directorate for Affairs, for instance. What we have received for Directorate for Affairs, we are, for instance, responsible for the project finance, or financing the objectives under the EU Turkey Green Deal plan under EU funding. So we are kind of a facilitator, a kind of a guide to all institutions in Turkey for their activities and any issue covering the implementation of this plan under EU funding. So I think it is very valuable. As for instance, our working group, we have came together on March, and after that we have developed now what is going on in Turkey on Green Deal, what kind of finance we have, what kind of projects we have. So now in all heading, we can see the picture. And now what we will do in our next meeting, we will provide them information what could we do more, because we do not make duplications, we do not make making the same jobs with the different institutions. So it will provide us a kind of a coordination role. So this is a very important document, but we are very at the beginning. But it is, I could say, the main guide of Turkey for the European adoption of the European Green Deal.
Is ready. Thank you very much. I have a last question. I actually have many questions, but we ran out of time. We were expecting to be able to talk about the carbon border adjustment mechanism. We will do it in another session, I guess. I have a last question, Mrs. de la Torre and Mr. Auger. The Green Deal has two main chapters. Agriculture and energy meaning renewable energy. For these two, the obvious need is vast land plots. Turkey has them. Taking into account this reality, what would you say with regard to the cooperation opportunities between EU and Turkey in those two fields? If you briefly say something about this question, that would be great. Mrs. de la Torre?
Thank you. In energy, as I referred to, even if Turkey has a very high growth in emissions, is also a country which is having a very high investment in renewables, and so we have there a lot of potential for our not only our strategic not only the climate policy, which is I mean, it's there since a long time, but also for our energy independence, our strategic independence. Also, being a country where it has a lot of renewable resources, it's really an area of a promising area. In agriculture, agriculture is you were mentioning the dialogue that's going to take place before. I mean, agriculture is a crucial sector in our economy. You know that it's a very important policy, the Common Agricultural Policy in the European Union, at the foundation of the treaties. And agriculture is at the same time, it's a need. At the same time, it's an emitter, but it's also at the same time an important source of carbon sink, and we have to preserve it. We have to manage it and to make sure that we have the food availability, food affordability with necessary quality, respecting biodiversity, and giving the farmers their way of life. So it's really a crucial sector for our society and our economy, and there are many practices that can be shared. You were referring to digitalization of the agriculture. We know about satellite technologies that can be very useful in that field. So these are really two very promising
Thank you very much. Mr. Auger?
Very quickly, because I don't think most of it has been covered, as Ms. Torre has just mentioned. In terms of energy, it's all about investment in renewables at the moment. In fact, this is very, very key, and we've seen that Turkey is doing a lot in that sense. Of course, here the war in Ukraine comes into the picture, both in terms of energy policies that we might see a shift in the coming months, in the coming years, as to the kind of energy production and energy consumption models that we have. So, of course, this is a very important new context. And the same goes for agriculture. When we talk about food production system, sustainable food production system, and the implementation of the farms to fork strategy from the EU, which is aiming toward that objective of sustainably producing food for all. Of course, this also would like to mention very quickly the consequence that these actions could have on developing countries, especially countries that are facing a food security crisis at the moment due to the current situation. So again, the importance, I cannot overstate the importance of maintaining ambitious objective in terms of sustainable food production processes. And I'll stop there because I think we're run out of time.
Thank you very much. I would like to say, on behalf of the EMI and European Movement Turkey, a warm thank you to all of you for your valuable inputs, for joining us today. This issue will remain in our agenda for certain times. As Turab, we will follow closely the developments of hold more events in order to inform Turkish public opinion. I would like to thank you very much, all of you, Mr. Deputy Minister, Mrs. de la Torre, Bülent Bey, Monsieur Auger. And I have a last but not least thank you to the team of EMI, our friends in Brussels who make everything easy for us. Thank you for listening us today. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.